Hey darling subscribers, welcome back to my channel. So this was the cake I showed you how I crumb coated. So now I think you deserve to see how I covered it in fondant, because I got a lot of comments on that cake. People said they love the detail, the explanation on that video, and I got a lot of comments on it. So I decided to show you how I decorated it, because I think you deserve to see it. So my fondant recipe is on my channel. That is what I'm using here. When you want to cover, because you would note that when I crumb coated, I did not crumb coat the top of the cake. That is because when I want to flip over when I'm covering, it will be easier for me. But there are no rules to these things. If you want to crumb coat and you want to cover the top of the cake, that is absolutely fine. So here you just roll out your fondant. You can see, like I said, when your cakes are well crumb coated, you don't need a very thick amount of fondant to cover it. A tiny layer will cover it. That is exactly what I did here. So just cut your fondant and roll it out like a sausage and thin it out just the way I did. And for you to know the accurate size of the fondant needed to cover the cake, just there are no measurement actually, but you can use your eye gauge, and then when you're thinning it out, you should just know when it is thin enough to cover your cake. And then to know the length, you just take your measuring tape and wrap it around the cake, and that's how you know the length and also the height of the fondant you will roll out. So here, after rolling the fondant out, I decided to do stenciling, because the cake, I wanted to just have something different on it, so I decided to stencil it. So this is one method of stenciling a cake. If you want to use paneling method, of course, after thinning out your fondant, you just put the stencil on top, and then use your royal icing on it, just the way I did, like as you can see in this video. So you can see that for the top of the cake, I had to apply a thin buttercream so that the fondant on top can hold, right? So don't forget, thin buttercream so that the fondant on top can hold. Don't put the fondant on it like that, it will not stay. So you just need buttercream. So after putting that, you are going to use your smoother and smoothen it, then put a board on top and then flip it over, then apply water on the cake. That thing you saw me sprinkling on it is just water and a spray bottle. So if you have a steamer, you can at this point steam the cake before you put this sheet of fondant around the cake. But if you don't have a steamer, or you don't have electricity to use your steamer, you can just put water in any spray bottle like I did in this tutorial, and then sprinkle the water on the cake and then just apply your fondant. It's as easy as what you see in this video. So stenciling a cake is very easy, and of course covering your wedding cakes with paneling method is one of the most effective way of saving your fondant. You don't have to use the blanket method. That will take a lot of fondant. So if your cakes are well crumb coated, if you watch that video on how I crumb coat cake, you will see that you don't need a huge amount of fondant to cover your cakes. Just apply a thin amount and you are good to go. I know I said it in that tutorial, so if you've not seen the video, please just watch how to crumb coat a cake on my channel and learn how to crumb coat cakes using cake crumbs and buttercream. If you cannot afford ganache, or you are not in an environment where you can use chocolate ganache, so you can still crumb coat your cake and have the flawless look on your wedding cake. So like I did here, don't worry about the seam. Usually the seam line is usually at the back of the cake, so don't worry about it. You can even use a mold and use it as a decoration, because I see that the reason why most people don't like using paneling method because of that seam, but it's not a challenge at all. You can always cover it, or you ensure that it is at the back of your cake. So here you will not be afraid, of course, to drag the fondant from the top to the bottom, so here, after wrapping it round, you are going to take your smoother and then drag the fondant down so that it will stick with that on the base of. So now you are going to use a very sharp knife. Your knife has to be very sharp. You can even use blade, but so your knife has to be very sharp. That will give you the perfect sharp edges when you're cutting off the excess fondant. Ensure you use a very sharp knife. You can as well use a razor blade, a new razor blade, but please ensure to be very careful so that you won't cut your hand. So after cutting it out like that, you're going to take off the excess on the top, right, because it's way bigger. So you're going to take off the excess from the top using the same knife. So when you've done that, so when you are done, you trim the top like I said, and then you flip your cake over. Then you're done. You have your perfect sharp edges just like that. Very easy. And then don't forget to use the smoother and bring it down a bit, just like so, and then you're done. And this is it. Very beautiful, isn't it? You see how it is looking already very fine. Then I did a fondant frill here. So how to achieve this frill? You just use your any round cutter of choice. It depends on how big you want it to. If you want it very big, you use a big cutter. If you want it small, you use a smaller cutter. But this, I think I used a medium cutter. I forgot to film that part while I was cutting it out, so I'm very sorry. So just thin it out with your ball tool, just like so, and then you start attaching it to the cake. You start from the base. Just do one part to the top, and then you start the other part again. You don't have to be turning the cake round and round and round. That was how I did this, but I felt the video would be too lengthy. That is why I did not show that part, but it's just the same. Just watch my hand, how I fold it, and then just attach it to the cake. Easy, simple, you see. Then you need this tool. I don't know what's called. There's this tool. So this tool, you need this tool. I don't know what they call it, but I got it from a cake shop. Use it to attach it to the cake, just like that. Watch my hand, how I fold it. Grab it from the bottom and then pin everything together. Cut the excess off and then attach it to the cake. That is how I did everything here. It is very simple. It's something you can do. You can practice if you have using a leftover fondant, and then you, of course, before you do it on your major wedding cake. It's very simple. See it, you grab it, you fold it, and then you attach it to the cake. It's very easy, just like that. Though it takes a long time, like it took, I think 3 hours or 4 to achieve this. So I had to sit just to achieve it. So if you are doing this, you have to charge the client extra for the job, because this fondant frill job is not an easy one. It takes time. You roll out the fondant, you will cut it out, you will frill the edges before you start attaching it to the cake. So please charge well for it. So here I just attached the artificial flowers, and then I added this is water. I wanted to add this gold leaf here. So for you to achieve that, you need water, just water. You don't need any other thing, just water on your cake, on your fondant cake, of course. Then you just attach it with your hand. It is as simple as that. Please, if you've watched to this level, kindly subscribe to my channel. If this is the first time you are seeing my channel, like, comment, and share my videos. Please, I appreciate comments a lot, and I always reply to comments. If you have questions, please ask me. If I come online, or when I come online, I would respond to your questions. Thank you so much for staying glued to my page. I do not take your presence here for granted. Let me know the kind of video you want me to drop on my next tutorial. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this cake? Please, how would you rate it please tell me in the comments. Do you like it? Do you like the stencil? Do you like the frill design? Do you like the flowers? What do you like about it? Let me know in the comment. Thank you so much for this is beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for staying glued. See you in my next video. Bye.